Welcome back to the Beyond the Suite podcast presented by the Salon Hub. I'm your host, Steve Casano, and today on the pod we have Lauren Hassinger, an amazing stylist out of Media, Pennsylvania, who started her career in college in a 4-year advertising program, graduating, and then leaping to beauty school immediately after to follow her passion. This passion has led her to learn and drive a whole career full of success, leading her to be nominated 7 times in the top 100 for the One Shot Hair Awards, into today, where she's starting to see the emergence of AI photography and how it's influencing the conversations that she's having with her clients and how she is setting expectations for her work. Listen to all that and more in this episode of Beyond the Suite with Lauren Hassinger. To get us kind of kicked off, as we've had conversations in the past, I know that your background is a little bit different than most stylists that we end up talking, right? You took a more circuitous path. You got into styling and the beauty industry a little bit later than a lot of folks do who go to like the vocational school path. Can you tell that story in a quick way? I want origin story one, how you ended up here, because now that you're in this space, obviously, I mean, if all you have to do is look at your Instagram bio and immediately it's, I'm kind of a big deal. But I want to know how you got there, right?
Um,
Because it is,
it's just when you're 18 and you're out of high school, it's really hard to just figure out what you want to do.
mm,
At that point, neither of my parents had graduated college, and that was just really important to my parents that I did that.
mhm,
I told my dad that I wanted to do hair early on, actually, and he told me I was too smart to do hair. I think there's kind of that little bit of stigma around this industry sometimes that that's kind of what you
yeah,
do if like you can't get into college or you're not doing well in high school, you go into tech and you do hair. And it was just something I always enjoyed. It was a hobby of mine, and I just kind of turned it into a career just a little bit later on.
so you went to college. What did you go to college for?
I have a degree in advertising and communications from Penn State.
It's pretty cool. I'm also a Penn Stater, as as we've discovered in our past conversations. So the the degrees are kind of getting used. Mine is not getting used at all because I was a IST, so information science and technology major that focused in cybersecurity. Not doing a whole lot with
Okay,
that.
that's okay.
You, on the other hand, you get this opportunity to kind of take that and apply it as a business owner, which is really awesome. I mean, I've had hundreds of conversations with salon suite owners, and you are the only one that I know of that has any type of marketing background of any kind that's formal, which is incredible. Uh, as you've come from that background and then moved into here, and I want to kind of talk about that transition a little bit, but since we're on the topic right now, how has your degree helped you in your business so far? Do you lean on that and the lessons learned, or is it more of a I found out what I didn't want to do?
I think it's a little combination of both.
Is it?
Um, I'm at this point 20 years out of college. It's not, there was a ton that I'm kind of like falling back on from when I got that degree.
Sure.
I think it's more just the relationship I was able to build with people. And I think that being in this industry, it really is how you have a relationship with people. And I think just having that ability to learn that and experience that through college, it just made it easier just talking. And I would think just because it is like a people industry, that's like the biggest thing kind of I took from college and being to bring that into here, if that
Right.
makes any
Driving
sense at all.
connection. Yeah,
Yes.
sure. Absolutely. I mean, advertising is about creating a level of trust, right? Through imagery and messaging. Very similarly, right? You do that every day through your services, I would assume, by obviously you're
Yeah.
attracting new folks through the content that you're posting and through your connections that you're building. So I think that does make a whole lot of sense. So I'm going to turn back the dial again a little bit. So you finish college, you have a degree in advertising. What happens?
I immediately started hair school. I made a deal with my dad like 3 years in. I was just like, "Listen, I just really don't wanna do or be where I'm at right now. I just really want
Mhm.
to go to hair school." and he just said, "If you graduate, I will pay for hair school." So that was kind of our deal. So I finished
Well,
college, and then I graduated, and 2 weeks later, I was enrolled to start cosmetology school.
that's crazy. So from school to school,
From
essentially.
school to school to school.
That's awesome. Where did you go to school? Did you go in Philadelphia locally or somewhere else?
I went somewhere local, in in and around where I live, Venus
Okay.
Beauty Academy. It was just like the one hair school that didn't make you go on Saturdays because at that point I was waiting tables and working at bars and restaurants to kind of pay my way. So I needed something that I was still able to work nights and weekends and still be able to attend school.
That's cool. I mean, good for you. That's a hard trek after going through a 4-year program, and then it's just like, well, here's another few months, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
on top of it, just getting to do what you want.
It's just, I figured, my dad always said, do what makes you happy and the money will come second. So for me, that was just an easier follow, right? It was just something I was
Right.
always interested in doing. I always did it as a hobby, so it kind of came a little bit more naturally.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to kind of follow that path and see where it went.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, obviously I changed career paths very wholeheartedly. I think when you have passion, putting in the extra work to be great at something is a lot easier because you're not forcing it, right?
Not forcing
It's
it, right?
or at least not as much. It doesn't feel as bad when you have to. That's incredible. So you go to school right after going to school, and uh, so once you come out, are you working in a regular salon for a number of years at that point? Then,
I started working in a salon, while I was in school, and I
oh,
continued
okay,
to work in that salon for 16 years until I moved into a
whoa,
suite. So it was like worked in the same space, and then I moved into a salon suite. So it was a long history in one place.
that's crazy. So you're now 3 years into your suite.
Yeah.
Uh, what caused the jump 3 years ago? Was it pandemic related?
No, the wheels were kinda in motion before pandemic. I think
Did
I
it?
came from a very large scale salon, 40 plus stylists. It was just work to me became very, like, factory-like. The creative
Yeah.
process just, I felt like, kinda just dissipated a little bit. It was kinda like as many people as you could get in and get out, and it was like working with assistants, and it was just kind of rolling all the time, and life was just became chaotic, and I found myself leaving work every day just, like, frustrated or, just not in the state that I wanted to be, and I felt like hair kind of the aspect of why I liked hair kind of had gotten away from me, so I just wanted to,
Yeah.
like, slow it back down and get back into why I got into the industry in the first place.
I mean, good on you for noticing that and actually doing something about it. Not a lot of people do that.
It's
Like,
hard because you feel stuck, you know,
mhm,
you've been in that place and it's so easy once you're kind of, like, in a routine and it's not moving was really scary, and you don't know if clients are gonna leave with you and if you're still gonna have the relationships with the people that you worked with for a long time,
is
so
it?
that part was hard, but I'm really glad I made the switch.
Well, I mean, it served you very well from what I can tell. I mean,
Thank you.
so you made this transition. You decided to go to a suite, and you decided to go. I'm assuming just through, the what we could now probably assume to be years of like building up, like just not getting exactly what you wanted out of the passion and hobby that you had for so long.
Mhm.
You're going into this suite. What's your mindset like? Are you like, I'm going to get everyone in my book to move. I'm going to create the best suite that's ever existed. Like, what's the plan? Because I feel like having talked to you in the past, you are a little bit of a planner, or at least you like to be prepared.
Right.
Um, so what was that process like? What'd you go through? What exercises did you kind of put yourself through, if you can remember, to get you set up for success in your suite?
I mean, we had a whole year of planning to before we moved over.
Is it?
And I'm in a little bit of a different situation because it's not just me. I know a lot of people move into a suite with maybe just one or two other people. There are three of us, so we do have like the three chairs. So we're able to
Yeah.
kind of keep that salon feel a little bit and like sense of community in our small space. That was important to me coming from a bigger salon.
Mhm.
Um, but as for everything else, it was just for a long time I kind of controlled a lot of what was going on within my part of the business, like in a salon, if you would say. Like I really
Okay.
controlled how I booked my own clients. Just trying to avoid mistakes in my day. So a lot of people were already always pre-booked. I made sure they were booked the way that I wanted them to. So like
Is
that
it
part really didn't change. I knew there was going to be like a handful of people that were just like salon clients that weren't gonna come with me, and I understood that from the beginning.
right?
But for the most part, I was really lucky, and I probably about like 90 to 95% of my clients came along when I left.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It was awesome.
What was that transition like then? So, like, did you reach out to your clients independently, each like one at a time, like through their phone number, or was it just more of like at their last appointment, you're like, also, by the way, I'm
So
gonna.
that was like a really bizarre situation because I was still working in a salon. COVID happened, we closed. So when COVID
Oh yeah,
happened, like I didn't know that I wasn't going to be going back. So it was just like very anticlimactic because I worked for the salon for 16 years. I left for COVID and then I never went back. It was just kind of like the timing of it all. So
yeah,
it was very crazy. At that point, clients were reaching out to me like, "Hey, I haven't had my hair done in 2 months. Like, can you come to my house?" This, that, and that kind of just
yeah,
opened the conversation that I was going to be kind of branching out and doing my own thing when life got back to normal.
yeah,
And I think the timing for me just was ideal because at that point people were scared to go back into a large environment. And I just had happened to be moving into this small space during this like crazy time in life. So it honestly, the timing couldn't have worked out better for me. It
yeah.
was very crazy, but it all worked out how it was meant to be.
That is the most lemonade out of lemon story I
It
think you could
really
have.
it really was.
That's so. I what a interesting blessing in disguise, though. Truly,
It really was. It really
while
was.
it was very unceremonious, I'm sure you had like envisions of walking out of the salon your last day with like doves flying out behind you and like, I'm out of here. Um, but so you're now in your suite. You've been in it for 3 years. The first, you bring over 95% of your clientele, which is massive. Your suite mates, were they also folks that you worked with in the salon, or were they more acquaintances that you had met along the way?
No, we've worked together for over a decade, so there are people that I knew that I worked well with. We both kinda had similar visions for how we wanted our space to run. We got along well. It was just kind of the right fit for all of us at the time, and still is.
That's great. You don't get that a whole lot or very often. So that's awesome to hear. So you're decorating your suite. I'm only bringing this up because
Yeah.
I think it was the first year, right, that you guys were in your space that you then win a certain award. Would you like to tell us what that is?
Uh, we, um, we received, top 5, in the salon suite category for the Behind the Chair One Shot Hair Awards, which was just amazing in our first year. I was not expecting to make it to the top 5. I was actually very
It's
thankful when we were there and didn't win because I was so nervous to go up on that stage to actually have to receive an award. We were sitting in the audience and I was like, "Who's going up?" Because I'm not going up there and talking in front of all these people, but
oh my gosh.
it was an awesome experience. We were very, we were shocked and surprised and just very happy that that our space was being just recognized.
It's so cool. Who designed the space? Was it a group effort or did someone take the helm?
Um, it was a group effort. Erin definitely has a little bit more of an eye for design,
Is it
but we definitely started just with the name and the logo and kind of everything just was born from there.
right?
Um, but
For
yeah,
those who don't know, the name of the salon is Blend.
is Blend. The name of the salon
So
is Blend, and it's Brooke, Lauren, and Erin. So we kind of blended our names together, and hence the name of the suite.
What a it's kind of on the nose, and I love it. So now at this point, I'm gonna get off the starter stuff,
Yeah.
but now that you've been in here and you've experienced sweet life in probably its fullest form, going from starting in the pandemic to now hitting a time where most people are kind of fairly back to normal. Um, has it gotten easier over time than those first few months, or has it gotten harder as
Um,
things
I would say a little bit of both. Like when we first opened, it was, just learning how to operate under those circumstances.
yeah.
Um, but then it's just, some trial and error. And then once you kind of get in the swing of doing things on your own, you kind of get in a routine, and it definitely becomes easier after you've been doing it for a little while, for sure.
I mean, I can imagine, but also, you're in a different situation where you do have, personnel dynamics, which are always, they need to get worked on at all times, just like any relationship, right? Especially if it's within business, it's a little bit different of a style. Also, it sounds like y'all are friends too, so that's great, but also can add complexity to that equation. Um, as as you were starting though, did you guys divide up your duties to who does what? Like someone handles the finances, the other person handles like the technology, and someone handles like the inventory? Or was it everyone kind of manages their own vibe and we all operate within the same space?
So, yeah, we definitely just operate in the same space and kind of run our own little individual businesses separately.
Okay.
But I mean, at the same point though, we do like if I'm on vacation, I can't get clients in, or my clients, they definitely help out, and it kind of goes like vice versa.
That's nice.
We need stuff for we do like a common share with stuff like laundry detergent and,
Good.
waters
Good.
and things like that that we serve to clients, while they're getting their services. And it's just kind of like a loop of taking turns, basically.
Very cool. So I'm curious though, as you've grown, what's been the biggest or hardest lesson that you've had to learn going from that salon traditional environment to running your own business and operating in a suite over the past
Um,
3 years?
I would say sticking to a schedule. I think it becomes very easy in this business. The more you're working, the more money you make. And if there's more
Yeah.
demand, you're just like, okay, let's do it. So in the beginning, I would definitely get caught up with, oh, I'll pop in on a Saturday. I'll do this client. I'll stay late. I'll come in early. I'm a people pleaser. It
Yeah.
becomes very hard sometimes to tell people no. And I kind of got caught up in it for a little bit. And I
Hmm.
had to kind of like pull the reins and be like, your time is your time. Can't always be yes, because then people will start to take advantage. And I just really try to now just my schedule's my schedule, and that's what it is.
More power to you. I
Thanks.
suffer from the same affliction of
It's
being a
hard. It's
people
hard.
pleaser.
I
So
know.
it's like ugh, I'm either gonna have to charge you more or say no. So which one would you like? Right?
I
Like,
know. It's hard. It's
and it
really
should just be
hard.
no. And even I am having a hard time doing that now. So I completely understand where you're coming from. Um, when you went into that, was there more of like a tipping point where you're like, listen, I don't have any Saturdays for like 3 months. I'm done booking on Saturdays. Is that kind of what happened? Or was it a more
You know
sitting there or getting talking to your friends and they're like, listen, honey, you got to stop?
Well, I stopped working Saturdays years ago. I just even when I was in the salon atmosphere, I stopped
Is
working
there,
Saturdays. It was just kind of a natural shift even with my clientele. My clients have kids, I have kids, we have stuff going on the weekends. It just became a not busy, like super busy day for me, and people naturally could just flow like into the week.
yeah,
But then I did have some like same thing. I cut back on my nights. I work a lot of just some daytime, and part of moving into the suite too was having the flexibility to be a mom because I have
you
two
bring,
kids. Life is busy, and my husband has a very demanding job, and I need just to be able to go to a basketball game at 4 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon and
yeah,
go to a tournament on a Saturday morning, and just this kind of moving into the space has allowed me to do those things. And I just had to remind myself, like, okay, we did this so I have the time. So don't like overbook yourself to where you're not doing the things that you wanted to do by creating your own schedule.
Yeah, it's one of those promises of entrepreneurship that they always tell you up front. You can make your own schedule and do whatever you want. But then you get into it
I
and you're
know
like,
you get sucked
I
in.
don't know if I can do whatever I want. If I want this
So
thing to be as
it's
big or
the
grow as much as I want.
I know, and it's
You know?
where to cut it off that becomes very challenging sometimes.
Yeah, I totally understand and can empathize with that side of things. But also more power to you for going through that. That's a really awesome lesson to learn and to share because I think there are a lot of people out there that are like, I'm working 7 days a week.
Mhm.
And maybe I don't work like most of Mondays, but I'm at least working once, like, or at least I have one time slot. And it's just okay. Burnout's also a thing that you have to avoid that I think a lot of folks
Burnout
don't
is
look at.
burnout is huge in this industry. I think especially with the demand of just social media and the availability, like, everyone
Is
just
it?
expects you to be I have sometimes where I'll get client texts at 11 o'clock at night just because that's when they're on their phone and they send it, like, they don't realize it's if you called a salon, they wouldn't be available at that time, but you just become available, and it's really hard to just kind of be like, shut it off and not instantly reply sometimes,
Yeah.
but I'm getting better at it.
I can empathize with that as well. I mean, we get the same thing in what we do, and it's okay. I'm going to worry about it until I answer. So I guess I'm just answering, and
Yeah,
it's okay. Let's take a step back. Train them not to just text whenever they want,
I know.
right? And it's training yourself just like a dog, right? You're training yourself as much as you are them in what needs to happen. So that's a good point. Speaking of social media, you've been fairly prolific in your use of it and your features that you've had. I mean, everyone, if there's a big name in the salon industry or in balayage in general, they've likely posted some of your photos at some point. I would love to learn from you maybe some of your tips or tricks or things that you consistently do that you think is leading you to all of this success. Now, obviously, there is a massive amount of talent behind what you're doing beyond just taking a nice photo, right? I think we could probably call you the balayage queen of the Northeast at this point, potentially.
That's a
Uh,
little much, but thank you.
maybe. I don't know. I mean, your accolades are stacking up to the point where it's hard to ignore. Um, but what what type of advice would you have for someone who's kind of maybe just starting out and they really want to get their clientele to book or at least get recognition for the work that they're trying to put out there? Because a lot of folks take photos of hair and a lot of folks get ignored. So I'm just wondering if you
Yeah.
have any thoughts. The Beyond the Suite podcast is presented by the Salon Hub and the Salon Hub's Salon Marketing 101 course. The Salon Hub Marketing 101 course is designed to teach you the building blocks of marketing that you can apply to your salon business so you can get more clients in your chair in less time. So if you haven't taken a marketing class before, this is a great place to start. To join, all you have to do is go to learning.thesalonhub.social to get started today.
It's I'm still trying to figure it out. It's a lot of trial and error.
Mhm.
I still take classes for it just and sometimes I just pull, like, the tiniest bit of tidbit out of that 4-hour class, but just that
Mhm.
one thing. Um, Taking pictures is hard. It's really hard. Like, I'm not a photographer. I'm just a hairstylist trying to put my stuff out there, and it's I still get home sometimes and I look at pictures and I just am like, "That looks nothing like it did in the salon." And I have a my camera roll is a graveyard of pictures sometimes. Just
Yeah.
keep taking pictures, I would say is like my biggest recommendation because the more I take pictures, I kind of can like my eye adjusts a little bit and I see things a little bit differently. When I started looking at hair when I'm taking pictures, actually like through my camera lens or through my phone, as opposed to looking at the hair, I kind of see things a little bit differently.
Eh,
Um, and I did if I really want good pictures, I need to put aside the time. There is not like a
yeah.
quick 2-minute snap a photo in between clients. Like a good picture, I took pictures for 20 minutes. And
Wow.
sometimes when you're in like a busy day, a busy environment, it just doesn't happen. There's times I'll go 6 weeks without taking a photo because it just doesn't happen. But when I take a photo, I'm taking 85 of them. So then I'm kind of recycling some
Yeah.
some content throughout the months. But it's a challenge. It really is.
So are you taking photos on a camera or on your phone or both?
I do both. My husband got me a professional camera. I still struggle with it. I've taken some photography classes, but it's just easier and more comfortable for me to grab my phone because it's there. I'll tend to take a picture if I grab my phone a little bit more. And just through going to some classes, and I would go to these classes because these people had these like awesome photos, right? And I'm like, I need to know how they do hair because I want to do hair like them. I would go to these classes and I'd be like, they're honestly not that much better at doing hair. They're just better at taking pictures. And that's really all it is because social
Yeah.
media, like, it really, I feel like, makes people feel bad about themselves in the point where they feel like they're not doing a good enough job behind the chair, and it's not that you're doing bad hair, you're just taking bad pictures. Like, I did it for a
Yeah.
really long time, and it's really just learning and just messing around with your camera and even just, like, editing apps, being able to adjust the light to how it looked in real life, being able to take out a busy background, and that's just kind of like messing around with different things and just seeing what works.
Yeah, no, I think that's an amazing point that a lot of folks don't focus on. They're like, "Oh, I need to do Instagram. I need to do more of this." And really it's just you make it this giant task in production, which it can be for sure. But really, the first step is just taking photos
Yeah.
and taking time to understand, okay, what if I pull them closer to the light over here? What if we pull them to the window? What if we go inside? What's the difference, right? What if I take just the back of the head or the side? Which one performs better for me and my clientele?
That
Going through these A/B tests and just taking the time over multiple clients to figure that part out is the first step because then at least you have the content that you can then create into posts to show off your work. But if you're not taking the base unit of material, it's gone. Right? As you said,
right,
for 6 weeks, you might not take anything. You're never going to post anything from those 6 weeks because you don't have it.
right.
Right. Um, so I think that's super important. I love the way that you put that of just you gotta try it.
Yeah,
You gotta know that you're gonna fail a few times too. It's not gonna be right all the time. There's plenty of people out there, including us, that provide some type of guidance that is around like, okay, pull them away from the wall. We're not taking passport photos. Like
yeah,
we're doing something else here. Um, it can be really tough, but you do an excellent job. I mean, as evident by your what is it, 7 times you've been in the top
yeah.
100 for
I,
best
I,
one shot
yes,
or
yeah.
one shot best hair. Um, that's a crazy number
Thank you.
and not so long of a time.
I
So
did.
you're
I
obviously
have
figuring it out.
entered for like years and years before I got my first one. So there was there was a lot of years of
Sure.
not recognition. So it took a while, but thank you.
Fair enough. It didn't just pop up out of nothing. It
Yeah.
wasn't the overnight success that everyone
No.
always sees, right?
No, I know,
And it
never.
never is.
Never. Never.
uh, Speaking of photography, though, and
Yes.
as you're working with clients, and usually you're coming in, and we're starting to see the emergence of AI filling in more hair or coloring or texture that probably doesn't actually exist.
Okay.
How often are you seeing that come through for like inspiration photos that you're getting from clients, and how is that affecting you right
It's a lot and it can be really challenging. I mean, I even see it from people that I follow who edit their photos that way. And sometimes it
now?
becomes frustrating, especially if they're getting kind of like a recognition for that. And you're like, that is not what it looks like in real life. But as long as you're able to have a conversation with clients and kind of educate them on just what can be achieved with their hair. I think it
Mhm.
just all comes back down to a dialogue.
Yeah,
And as long as you're just kind of like representing yourself well and just representing your photos well, because that's really all you can do, right? I mean, it
yeah,
does kind of take over a lot and it's can be very frustrating to see. Um, and I have people who sit down and show me photos and you're just like that. That's either it's AI, it's a wig, it's not natural, it doesn't happen in 2 hours. And like I said, it's just all educating the client and what can be done and setting up the right expectations for their appointment.
Oh yeah. I think expectation setting, regard if you're in any service business, I think is super important. But especially when you're going for someone's look and they're like, wait, why doesn't it look like I have 4 times the amount of hair that I actually do? And you're like, well, honey, like let's think about
I
this.
can only create with what I'm starting with, you know?
Right.
It
Exactly. Yeah. 22-inch extensions are expensive. Uh,
yeah.
that's incredible. Okay, so I kind of want to move off of the social media trend and go to more the entrepreneurial side of
Okay.
things. I think having a successful business for a year is impressive. For two is even more. For three is great. I want to know from your perspective, where have you think that you've grown the most in terms of being an entrepreneur and building or growing your business from day one?
Oh, a hard
That's a
one.
hard one. I apologize, but I'm
That's
interested because I can
okay.
see the drive in you, and I'm like, what is pushing it, and what are you focusing on?
Um, it kinda gets to a point in your career where you're just like, "Where do you go from here?" I'm lucky to be at a point where I have the clientele where I want them right now.
Hmm.
I am doing the clients that I want, I'm doing the hair that I want, um, and I'm busy. Um, I've kind of moved on to I'm in this struggle lane about what I wanna do, like, influencing wise. I started doing a little
Hmm.
bit of work for Davines Color with, creating content for them, which has been great.
Hmm.
It's just trying to
That's
get a little
awesome.
bit more comfortable with that. I think just because you're also in this space where not every client wants to be filmed, right? I know that there's
Yeah.
some people who kind of like film their entire day, but that's not for everyone. And I have some people who come in with changes of clothes, they bring makeup, they're like ready to be photographed. And then
Hmm.
other people who are like, I have my hour between dropping my kid off at school, like, get me in, get me out. Like, I'm trying to have this fast, and, like, not everybody wants
Hmm.
a camera in their face all the time.
Yeah.
So it's just kinda, like, finding the balance of that. I don't know if I've gotten totally off your question or off subject, but I'm still honestly just trying to figure out what's next, to be completely honest, because everything right now
Yeah.
is just I don't wanna say that there is no next, but everything right now is just going really well. I like where I'm at,
Hmm.
and sometimes I feel like there doesn't always have to be an immediate next goal.
That's
Um,
true.
so I don't know if that's good or bad.
No, I think focusing on your craft, right, is if you're focusing on serving your clients really well, you're focusing on developing your skill set, maybe even beyond where you are now, or teach. I mean, is teaching in your future, do you think?
I would like to teach. It's always kind of deciding what you're going to give up to be able to
Yeah.
do, because then it gets back into just that more time, right? That it's There's only so much time that you have. So, what
Hmm.
am I cutting back a day to do that? And it's kind of like the trade off, and that I'm definitely still trying to figure out for sure.
Yeah. I've with someone that has your skill set, I honestly, that's where I was the most surprised when we had talked last. I'm like, "Oh, you're not teaching? That seems interesting to me because your work is great. It gets featured a lot, and it also is like very in for the last what 15 years. This style has like evolved and grown, and especially what you're working in between dimensional color, balayage, and the like. I mean, it's probably the hottest consistently over the last 10 years in terms of trend,
Thank you.
and you seem to be at the top of your game. So that's why I was like, hey, and it's not for everyone, and I think it's really a good example to say, hey, I don't have to take a certain path. I can kind of just get to where I am and enjoy it. I think that is success, if anything else.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's cool. All right. Well, Lauren, I want to thank you for spending time with us today.
No
It's been
problem.
really fun. I really enjoyed it. And I would love if you could plug all the stuff that you got
Okay.
going on at the end here, because I want to know where people can find you on Instagram, what your salon is, so they can check that out. If you have any projects or things that you're working on the side that you want people to know about, feel free to plug that. But the time is yours, and let the people know how they can find you, interact, and do the thing.
All right. You want to find me on Instagram? It's styling pretty. The salon name is Blend Hair Lounge. We're based in Media, Pennsylvania. Um, and that's kind of what we're doing right now.
Great.
I don't have much more to plug.
That's all right. Yourself and your business is plenty. I just wanted to make sure we covered all our bases and you had the opportunity to do so. So, thank
Thank
you again
you.
so much for chatting with me today. I had a ton
Yeah.
of fun learning more about you and getting some of those tidbits of knowledge that you've been able to pick up along the way so we can share them with folks that are also on a similar path. So,
All right.
I don't know
Thank
what they're
you.
putting in the water down in Media, Pennsylvania. You're our third guest from that
It's a good
one location.
it's a good group there. We had a good group.
Y'all are
It's a fun
just
space to be.
listen, we go into a lot of salon suite locations and we're lucky if there's like one or maybe two folks that are really into the business and doing the thing and doing a lot of fun stuff online or digitally. Y'all are teaming with it. So whatever it is, keep it up and I wish you the best of luck in your continued success.
All right, thank you so much.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.